Hi, this is Nathan Hikes, Agronomy Field Technician with GROWMARK FS, with a GROWMARK FS Agronomy Minute. In the Mid-Atlantic region, our high number of cattle operations mean that we have a great need for high-quality forages. One of the forages that's most responsive to high management, resulting in great feed for our operation, is alfalfa. There's going to be a lot of different factors we're going to want to consider when we're trying to maximize what we can get out of our alfalfa stand. So we need to make sure we understand what our goals are. Are we looking to just preserve the stand as long as possible? Do we need the maximum amount of yield in tons possible? Are we trying to maximize forage quality at all costs? Or are we looking for some combination of the three? And in general, it's going to be some combination. But where we lay our emphasis is going to determine what management decisions we make. The first key to maximizing what we get out of a field of alfalfa is going to be having a good stand. And we've reviewed how to evaluate that stand in another video. You can check that out on our YouTube channel. If we don't have the plants, we're not going to be able to push that stand to its max. So once we've determined we do have a good stand, then we can start taking the next steps. So first, out of three things, we're going to look at fertility, our pest management, and then our harvest management. In order to grow a good crop, we've got to feed it. One area where we're oftentimes lacking is potassium in our forage crops like alfalfa, because when we take the whole plant away, that really uses a lot more potassium than just taking the grain or some portion of the plant. The trouble is we can put too much potassium on and our alfalfa will take it up in what's called luxury consumption. And this can cause feeding and dietary issues for our cattle. So we really want to use soil testing and tissue testing to determine exactly how much potassium we can add to our crop. And ideally, we won't put that all in one chunk in the year. We'd spread that out in at least 2 or maybe more applications in between cuttings. We also want to make sure we emphasize putting boron on anytime we put potassium on, as that's really critical for our alfalfa. And also, if we're looking to maximize forage quality, especially on the protein end, we need to make sure we have sulfur at the recommended levels too. So utilize soil testing and tissue testing to make sure that's all in line, because obviously the more yield we're able to take off an acre, the more nutrients we're going to have to put back on. Additionally, making sure that we're free of undesirable pests is going to be really important to maximizing our stand. Of course, potato leafhopper is generally the #1 insect in this region we're worried about, so that can be managed with potato leafhopper resistant varieties, spraying, and harvest management. But a lot of it's going to come down to scouting. We need to go out in the field, search for symptoms to know if we have a potato leafhopper problem. And then if we do, regardless of if we have a resistant variety, we're probably going to want to make a spray application or harvest as soon as we can. Early in the season, alfalfa weevil is something we're going to want to look for and spray or harvest for as needed. We also deal with weeds in alfalfa, so we want to utilize whatever tools we have to manage them. In a Roundup Ready stand, this is relatively easy when we have the Roundup technology. Because weeds can hamper our harvest efforts, we really want to make sure we eliminate them so they don't reduce our forage quality and create undesirable wet spots in our forage. So either using Roundup or other herbicides that are labeled in a non-Roundup Ready situation, we want to keep those weeds under control as soon as possible. The final step in our high management is going to be our harvest management, and these are where our goals are really going to come into play. If we're concerned a lot about stand longevity, we'd really like to let the alfalfa go to bloom at least once a year to help increase those root reserves. The trouble with that is generally whenever we let alfalfa go to bloom, it's going to reduce forage quality. The more mature and the more plant matter we get, the lower the forage quality. So it's really a balancing act. Generally, if we're looking to balance high yield and good quality, we want to be about bud stage. So as I look at this alfalfa here, it is coming right into bud. So this would be about perfect time to harvest this to balance my high yield and my high forage quality. If I let it go, I'll get more yield and I'll increase my stand longevity, but at the expense of some forage quality. If I do want to let a stand or cutting go a little bit longer, it's better to do that later in the season. The early season cuttings are the most sensitive to plant stage in losing their forage quality. So you really want to get that first cutting off as early as possible, even if you have to chop it because the weather's not conducive, in order to make sure that the rest of your harvest can be timely and a little bit less sensitive there. So get that first cutting off, get in your cutting schedule. It's usually about 28 to 33 days in between cuttings if you're going to hit this bloom timing. And then know what your cutting schedule is going to be. Don't push that last cutting too late, because that can really harm the longevity of your stand. And one last consideration, if you're looking to maximize tonnage and forage quality, is utilizing some of the new genetics that are on the market, such as the Harv Extra alfalfa, which is specially bred for low lignin. So at the same other plant characteristics, we have a higher forage quality because we have less undigestible material. So we could either let our alfalfa go a little bit longer and get the same forage quality, we could harvest a little bit more often and get even better forage quality depending on our goals. So when you're looking to maximize your alfalfa benefit to your operation, make sure we're focusing on our fertility, our pest management, and our harvest management. And if you want some help or need materials to do all of this, make sure to check out your nearest GROWMARK FS salesperson or location today.